How's it going, IO? In this video, we're going to be counting down the top 10 celebrities who refused to work with Jonah Hill. At number 10, we have Sarah Brady. The 25-year-old professional surfer is Jonah's ex-girlfriend, and she recently exposed him online, claiming that he was controlling and misogynistic towards her while they were in a relationship. Sarah posted DMs and texts that she claims he sent to her when they were dating, which has sparked public outrage. One of them appears to show him chastising her for posting photos of herself surfing in a bikini. When she deleted some of the photos, Jonah allegedly tells her that it's a good start, but that she still doesn't seem to get it. He wrote, "It's not my place to teach you. I've made my boundaries clear. You refuse to let go of some of them, and you have made that clear, and I hope it makes you happy." In another screenshot, he explained what kind of behavior he feels is crossing his boundaries. This includes her surfing with other men, modeling, posting pictures of herself in a bathing suit, and having friendships with women who are in an unstable place. Sarah also claimed that they were seeing a couples therapist who instructed her to paddle away from men while she was surfing, and tell them that she was going to talk to her boyfriend. So it's no wonder that these accusations landed Jonah in hot water. Number 9. Christopher Mintz-Plasse. When Jonah played Seth in 2007's Superbad, he was already familiar with some of his co-stars from his work on Judd Apatow films Knocked Up and The 40-Year-Old Virgin, but he didn't have the same existing relationship with Christopher Mintz-Plasse, who plays Fogel aka McLovin, so the two of them instantly got off on the wrong foot. Jonah said, "Chris just immediately shut me down. So combative. I was really annoyed because this guy wouldn't let me say anything." Seth Rogen and Michael Cera also shared similar memories of the animosity between them. Seth outright said that Jonah effing hated Chris. Quote, "He was all over Jonah's lines, completely disrespectful of the process, probably due to his lack of experience. I remember he walked out of the room and Jonah was like, 'Not that guy.' And we were just like, oh my god, you don't understand how much more that makes us want him." Michael Cera said, "When Chris left, I remember Jonah being really shaken up. With that being said though, it is tough to think about a version of the movie without McLovin that we know and love. Because if Jonah had gotten his way, then it could have easily been someone else putting in that performance." Number 8. Jennifer Lawrence. When Don't Look Up was released, there was a ton of chatter surrounding the movie, not only because of its messaging surrounding climate change, but also because of its star-studded cast, featuring both Jennifer Lawrence and Jonah Hill. But behind the scenes of the movie, it seems as though not everyone in the cast got along while filming. In a promotional interview, Jennifer revealed that working with Jonah was actually really hard. Thankfully though, there isn't any bad blood between the two of them, and this had a lot more to do with his amazing improvisational skills. She explained that he kept ruining take after take because she was just laughing so much, and she said, "We one time dedicated an entire day to him just improvising insults at me. It was amazing." She said that he and Meryl Streep were the only ones who could do that kind of improv, because she thinks of him as a comedic master. And it looks like all of that paid off, because Don't Look Up made almost $800 million at the box office over a $70 million budget. The movie is about humanity reacting with apathy or incompetence towards a planet-killing meteor racing to Earth. And unlike most big Netflix original films, I would say that it would have been a hit in theaters too. Number 7. Baruchel. The actor recently took time to talk to the Last Laugh podcast about his love-hate relationship with the industry and all its ego and consumerism. Specifically, he addressed how the 2013 hit comedy This Is the End required him to exploit his real-life beef with Jonah Hill. He said, "Jonah and I don't get along super well, or at least didn't back then." His personal distaste for his co-star came through when he was playing a fictionalized version of himself. Jay explained that he played it up for laughs and that it wasn't cathartic, it was more just for comedy, but it definitely came through on screen because out of the whole movie, their scenes stick out as some of the most memorable and enduringly quotable moments. Still, Jay doesn't look back on that experience fondly. He explained that the humor between them came about in just the most commoditized capitalist way of like digging up some real personal stuff and turning it into a product. He said that during filming he thought that This Is the End would end up being one of the worst movies ever. In fact, he was convinced that it was going to be terrible. Ironically, his opinion only changed when he was watching footage of Jonah and thought that it was really funny. Number 6. Judd Apatow. These two have certainly butted heads over the years, including in the commentary for Superbad's special edition DVD. This is where Judd and Jonah got into an argument when he dropped an F-bomb during the recording. In the video, you can hear the cast talking about the scene when one of their characters accidentally gets hit by a car. This is when Jonah casually swears, and Judge tells him to watch his language since his daughter Maud was with him. At the time, she was only 9 years old, so it makes sense that he would insist that there wouldn't be any swearing. Jonah initially apologized, but then he went on to say that there was cursing throughout Superbad, and that his daughter shouldn't be around during the recording if he didn't want her to hear curse words. Judd stood his ground as well, saying that he had to bring his daughter to the recording because there was no one around to watch her. Jonah then asked what she thought about hearing curse words, and she awkwardly replied that she heard curse words all the time, which shocked her protective father. As the video goes on, it becomes clear that the swearing was not going to stop, so Judd ends up leaving in the middle of the commentary, taking his daughter with him. Number 5. Kanye West. After months of putting out anti-Semitic statements, the rapper returned to social media in March and decided to post an update on his feelings towards Jewish people. Considering his horrible track record, it almost seemed like he was trying to fix everything that he had said in the past. He took to Instagram and wrote, "Watching Jonah Hill in 21 Jump Street made me like Jewish people again. No one should take anger against one or two individuals and transform that into hatred towards millions of innocent people. Thank you, Jonah Hill, I love you." His bizarre post did not get a response from the actor, but the directors of 21 Jump Street, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, reacted on their own Twitter accounts. They wrote, "Thanks for watching," and "Laughter is the best medicine." The comment section was filled with people joking about Kanye's change of heart. Someone wrote, "This is gonna be in a history textbook in like 100 years, and we live in the South Park episode." But not everyone thought it was really funny. Kanye was called out by two prominent organizations who came through with a very serious response to his post, essentially saying that it was nothing like an apology and that it shouldn't be framed as such. To this day, Kanye still has not taken back his statements. Number 4. Billy Crystal. During the 2012 Oscars, the actor made a targeted weight joke at Jonah's expense, and looking back, it was pretty bad. While he was on stage, he pointed him out in the audience and started singing, "It's great you shed weight, but I think you should know there's cupcakes after the show." At the time, Jonah was nominated in the Best Supporting Actor category and seated near the stage next to his mother. He really couldn't hide the broken look on his face as the camera panned to him and the audience laughed at his expense. The whole thing was just so horrible considering how many times something like this has happened to him. Most people know that Jonah has been publicly mocked and fat-shamed over the course of decades. On press tours, he's been asked countless offensive questions about his weight, like what's it like to be the fat guy, all of which he was actually expected to answer. The actor opened up about this during an appearance on the Ellen DeGeneres show, where he said, "I became famous in my late teens, and then spent most of my young adult life listening to people say that I was fat and gross and unattractive. So it's just really upsetting that he's had to deal with this for so long." Number 3. Jimmy Kimmel. In what is perhaps one of the most awkward interview moments of all time, the talk show host made things very uncomfortable for Jonah in 2018. As soon as he sat down, Jimmy felt the need to make a snide comment, which was just nastiness played up for laughs. He said, "First of all, you smell good," which is surprising. Jonah looked taken aback by the comment as if he was genuinely not prepared to open the interview like that. To make matters worse, everyone in the audience was laughing. In response, he said, "Why is that surprising?" Jimmy then realized he had hit a nerve and the two of them were able to get past that initial awkwardness, but it was still sad to see the whole thing go down, considering that it was Jonah's first late night interview in 2 years, which probably left a bad taste in his mouth. The actor had heard some version of that joke aimed at his appearance many times before. Back in 2007, he heard something very similar from director Edgar Wright. After the release of Superbad, he was conducting an interview with Jonah and Michael Cera, and at one point he said, "Do you think it's important to be unattractive to be funny?" Obviously he was trying to joke around, but there was clearly something serious about the way he asked that question. Number 2. Paparazzi. After a day being spent trailed by a photographer who taunted him, mocked his clothes and hurled insults about his family, Jonah had had enough. In a moment that he would later come to regret, he turned around and called the man a homophobic slur starting with the letter F, which of course was most likely giving him exactly what he wanted, a big reaction laced with profanity and slurs. The entire episode was caught on camera and eventually posted to TMZ. Soon after that, Jonah made the rounds with an apology for using the anti-gay word, and he spoke to Howard Stern about the whole incident. He explained that he was heartbroken that he used such a disgusting and hurtful term. He also went on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon and said that the word he chose was grotesque. Though he did do the right thing in apologizing, many people were also on his side in the matter, considering that the entire episode was a setup, encouraged by a culture obsessed with celebrities and even more obsessed with them behaving badly. And we all know that the paparazzi have been trained to push buttons, so they've gotten pretty good at it. And it's really no wonder that he snapped after getting stalked for so long. And coming in at number 1, the press. It seems as though Jonah Hill has always had a very rocky relationship with the press, and journalists in particular. He was once asked by a reporter if he still considered the fat guy in Hollywood, despite having lost a considerable amount of weight, which of course was a question that he simply refused to answer. The press have also painted him as someone who has had multiple outbursts. He's apparently upset writers at Rolling Stone enough to the point where they decided to call him Private prideful, bad-tempered, and obnoxious. In an interview with the magazine, Jonah is quoted as saying, "Being in a funny movie doesn't make me have to answer dumb questions." Even Judd Apatow also called Jonah angry, and when talking about his career, some people have insinuated that he does seem a little full of himself, especially because he was quoted saying, "I could have made $1 billion doing every big comedy for the last 10 years. Though to be fair, anyone could sound like an egomaniac when you take them out of context. So what do you guys think about everything in this video? Please let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one.